we are going to try this again. I started a live video and it went away. So hello, and welcome to Wednesday. It's there. Now I think we are on. All right, we've started and we've stopped. I hope my internet is stable enough tonight since we are talking about hope. So welcome to Wednesday. Please do let me know if you are here. Type in the chat box and say hello. I'm looking at two different screens to see who may be with us tonight. Welcome. Hi, Jody. You probably came in on the first one. I'm not sure what happened. We started, we stopped. So again, we're talking about hope tonight. So hopefully this broadcast will continue without being interrupted. So welcome to Insights with Ivanna. This is a weekly broadcast designed to help you identify, embrace, and live more fully in your genius by illuminating important pieces of information that you actually already possess. Hello, Krista. Welcome. It's so great to have you here. One of my newest friends. Hi, Lee. Thanks for joining us, too. It's awesome to have you guys tonight. Tonight is our 6th week of our 12-week series exploring pathways to positivity. I am Ivanna. I am the founder and chief Luminary officer of Luminary Insights, an intuitive life coaching brand. So as I said, we're hoping the internet holds out, which is perfect because tonight we are exploring hope. So hope springs out of dire circumstances. So you may ask, well, how can negativity turn to positives, and how can that increase our psychological strength, help us have good mental habits, better social connections, and better physical health? So let's explore. I have shown you guys this book a number of times. One of my favorites, Positivity by Dr. Fredrickson. And she states that hope springs out of dire circumstances as a beacon of light, which I think is just beautiful. I also love what Desmond Tutu says. He explains that hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness. So as Luminary Insights, you know I am all about the light. And just like I said in the opening, we have so much that's right here that we don't even realize we have, and that light is part of it. So even when we cannot see it, hope helps us find that light. In Hebrews 11:1, in the King James Version of the Bible, it states, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." And I really like the way the International Children's Bible translates it as faith means being sure of the things we hope for, and faith means knowing that something is real even when we don't see it. And isn't that exactly what we talk about when we talk about manifesting? Believing that something already is, believing it as if it already is, trusting that what we dream of, what burns in our hearts, what we call our genius, that it is real and has already come to fruition, even as we are waiting to be able to see it. So type in the chat box if you would, do any of these quotes speak to you? Or maybe you have another quote about hope that comes to your mind. So what, if anything, did these quotes speak to you? Go ahead and type in the chat box. Let's see if anybody else has come in. Please feel free to say hello when you get here. So excited to have some new people joining us live tonight. I know they have viewed some of the previous videos. So very exciting. Like I said, for me, what I love about these quotes is how they all tie together. The idea that hope is light, and the idea that hope is tied to faith and manifesting, believing that things already are. Yes, Krista says, I believe in manifesting. Absolutely. And I believe that David and I meeting Krista and Lee this week was part of our manifesting, bringing together people that needed to know each other. I'll just go ahead and tell you guys, you got to try the yacht. David and I took the weekend down to Wilmington on the best yacht in the world for the weekend. Let me know. I will give you information. We are so thrilled, not only with our experience, but also with our new friends, Lee and Krista, and we would love to tell you about how you can go stay on the boat. I know this isn't supposed to be a sales pitch, but it is. All right, let's see. Jody says, I remember the phrase, hope springs eternal. Yeah, I always kind of wondered, what does that mean? You know, hope springs eternal, and just the beauty of the idea of something just constantly coming and growing and continuing, that hope takes us to that place. So go ahead and type more if you've got anything else you want to share. But it's really interesting, as I've been reading and learning more, I had never really thought of hope as a kind of positivity, and yet it really is. But it's a different kind of positivity, because most positivity arises from when we feel safe or when we feel comfortable. So think about when we talked about joy and gratitude, serenity, and interest. We've talked about those 4 things so far. And those really come from a place of peace, a place of safety. But hope really helps show us the possibilities when things are dark and dire. And so to me, it almost seems counterintuitive, and yet I know it's true that we need the bad to really find the good. And we can do a whole nother broadcast on what is good and what is bad, because we know we don't really know those answers either. But it's so powerful to have the things we perceive as bad to grow into that hope and take us to a better place. So I want you to think of a time when you experienced something dire and that it sparked hope for you and led to something positive, even if that positivity was only momentary. And I know it's hard to type a lot in the chat box, so you can keep it short. So for example, for me, what I would type in the chat box is early birth of son, hope for health. So that would be like my short version, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about it. But for me to type in the chat box, a dire time for me was the early birth of my son. And the hope for me was that he would survive and that he would be healthy. So, yep, Jody reminded people to say hello if you're here. I hear from people every week that they said hi and it didn't come through. I changed one of the settings today so that people can chat through Messenger. We'll see what happens with that. So take a minute and think about a dire time you had in your life. And what was that hope that you had? So I'll give you just a second. And wait time is not my greatest strength. I am working on it. Keep typing, but I want to tell you a little bit more about mine while you are typing or thinking about your situation. So the first thing that came to my mind was when my son was born 6 weeks early, while I was a 10-hour drive away from my family. And I say drive because I couldn't fly at that point in my pregnancy. So when he was born, his lungs were not fully developed. And then some other complications came over the next few days, and it even took my mom and my husband several hours to arrive, even though they could fly. So it truly was a life or death situation. And my hope, of course, as I said a minute ago, was not just for him to live, but for him to be healthy. And we knew there was no guarantee to the outcome, but the hope allowed me to focus on the possibilities of modern medicine, the possibilities of prayer, and the possibilities of love. Just the touch that a baby can have can make such a difference. And so hope allowed me to focus on the gratitude and sometimes even on joy in the middle of all the chaos and doubt, and yes, the tears and the fears. But I'm happy to say that he is alive and well, but without hope, how different would my experience have been? So let me see what experiences you shared. Okay, Jody, yeah, thank you for sharing. So a very dire time for you was the death of your mother, and your hope was that you would find happiness. And so we're going to go into a meditation toward the end, and so I want you to be able to come back to that and think about, how did you find the happiness? Where did you find the hope? How did that help you? Krista wrote, working 14-hour days. Oh my gosh. My coworkers laughed at me when I would say tomorrow will be better. That was my early version of hope. Okay, yeah, so even I used to say there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and then I realized that the light at the end of the tunnel was just the oncoming train, but I will not be stopped. I learned how to slide up against the wall of that tunnel and let that train go right on by. So that's awesome, Krista. And then she's also sharing that when her husband died, she absolutely hung on to hope that life would get better. And just what little bit I have learned about you, it sounds like life really has gotten better. And that hope, going back to that manifesting, that hope, that belief that something can be better is really what gets us to that point of something being better. So I am going to bring you back to the table that we've been working on in these broadcasts. And I know that some of you may not have had a chance to look at it, and that's okay, because whatever comes to your mind will be the right thing for us to work on. But if you have been working with the chart, I'm terrible with the pictures. If we've been working with the chart, go ahead and type in the chat box how hope or other things have helped you with your table while I explain it to the people that might be new here. So you can see the chart. At the top of the chart, I have filled out some answers, and at the bottom of the chart, it is blank for you to fill in. At the beginning of the broadcast, we talked about psychological strengths, mental habits, social connections, and physical health, and how positivity can help us with each of those things. So in the chart, I listed my don't likes for each of those 4 categories, and then I listed my wants for each of those categories. And as we've been exploring joy and gratitude and serenity and interest, and now hope, I've shared how that has helped me increase in each of those categories. And those of you that have been on board have done that as well. Now, typically, I've been doing that in the moment right now. But when I think about the situation with my son, and I look back at the chart, I can see how back then, even though I really didn't understand all the things I understand now, I somehow knew to tap into positivity to have greater resilience. And so for me, it actually helped me with all 4 of these things. So for psychological strengths, I had put that I don't like negative self-talk and I want to believe in the best. And even back then, I didn't allow myself to have all that negative chatter in the brain that I usually would have. And I just believed that it would be the best, that he would be healthy and he would be fine. It also helped with my mental habits. For me, I don't like my multitasking approach. I'm always doing 20 things at the same time. I want to be able to be more mindful and focused. And so the focus for me came through things like there was a Sparrow's Pizza in the basement of the hospital. How cool was that? And so part of my focus was just to get away from everything and just focus on the smells and the taste and the texture. And not far from the hospital, there was a Ben & Jerry's. And so that would be another escape, that an opportunity to work on my mental habits and be able to be more mindful. And there were actually times where I was able to relax. We had the opportunity to meet a couple who had actually lost their baby and to encourage them and to spend some time with them, just loving on them. And that added to our social connections. So even though it was a very difficult time, hope, even hope for them in the loss of their child, hope that things would get better, was part of what we were able to experience. And so physically, the hope actually allowed me to sleep in times when I would have totally been focused on the worry or the worst case scenario. Now, as I said before, it wasn't perfect by any means. And I'm amazed that even back then, I knew to turn to positivity for that resilience. The light was shining, even though my blinders were sort of still on. So it's just amazing how much we already have in us that we want to bring out. So let me see if there are any more comments. And then what I would like to do, if you are willing, is to do a little bit of a meditation to help you go back and think about that time of despair and then how you came into hope and what that did for you, how that felt in your body when you were in despair, how your body released it as you came into hope, and what that has done for you overall. So let me see if there are any more comments. All right. So if you're comfortable closing your eyes, please do close your eyes. And we're going to take a few minutes to go inward. So you can pick that example or one of those examples that you typed in the chat box, or you can pick something from your chart. But pick one of the don't likes or one of the things that was dire. One of the times when you felt hopeless or stressed. I promise we won't stay there too long. So close your eyes and just allow yourself to feel in your body how you felt during that time. Where do you feel discomfort? Where do you feel pain as you think about that memory, that unhappy time, that dire time? And while you're thinking about that, take a deep breath and hold it for just a few seconds. And then just blow it out forcefully. Now continue to breathe normally and continue to scan your body. Think about the details of that situation. Going from the top of your head, slowly down your body, what do you feel? For me, it's often a tight jaw, a tight shoulder, maybe my stomach's upset. What do you feel as you remember that time? I want you to take another deep breath and hold it. And this time let it out slowly. And begin to look for hope. During that situation, how did you find hope? You can search for it in your mind's eye. You can look for that little speck of light that is there no matter how dire the situation is. Even if it's just a glimmer, what can you focus on in the middle of the turmoil to bring you hope, peace, belief in possibility? Continue to breathe normally and search for that hope. Envision that light and see that light growing, the hope growing, the light growing, and cling to it like a life preserver. Let's take just a few more breaths in silence as you visualize the hope and the light. Continue to breathe. Do you feel any changes in your body? As the hope grows larger, as the light grows brighter, do you feel any release in the places that were tight? If you don't, send that light and send that breath to those places. And allow a smile to come across your face as the hope and the light now fills the entire space around you. Look at the light. What color is it? Is it warm? Cold? Maybe it's even tingly. Feel that light. See that light. Experience the power of the hope and the light. And now I want to ask you, how can you take this light with you? How can you take this hope with you as you leave tonight? Although this hope in the visualization is tied to a particular thing, the hope can be brought back and tied to anything in the future. In the past, I've told you to take a snapshot. Take a quick picture so that you can carry it with you. You can also do a movie, 2 or 3 seconds, to just capture that light and how it's interacting with your body. Or you can do something else that works for you. Find a way to capture the feeling of hope, the beauty of the light. Thank the hope and thank the rays of light for helping you to relax, even if it's only for just a moment. And now take a deep breath again and hold it. And then blow it out fully. You might want to wiggle your toes, open your eyes gently, look at the ground, and begin to come back. I see that my sister Rhonda has joined us. Hello, Sissy. Thank you for coming in the middle of our meditation, so I didn't want to stop and say hi. So how do you feel? Type in the chat box. Were there any changes in your body? It's always interesting for me while I'm leading it that I can feel what's happening. I can feel my shoulders beginning to drop. I can feel my jaw releasing, even though I'm not totally focused. Did it change your mindset in any way? Awesome, Krista. Tell me what you mean by awesome. How was it awesome? What did it do for you? And think about how this might help you to continue to increase your psychological strength, your good mental habits, your social connections, and your physical health. Once you take that snapshot or you take that movie, or just once you realize that you can just in your mind completely change the way your body and your mind are reacting to things, you can come back to this in a split second. I talk all the time about the bathroom is my place. You know, if it's a crazy day at work, if there's lots of people around at a personal gathering, I can just go into the bathroom, take a deep breath, visualize what I need to visualize, and I can change where I am very quickly. So any other comments? And anyone else that's here, please say hi. Jody, thank you. She said at first she was more tense because of the memories. Those memories are disturbing, and that's why I promised you we wouldn't stay there long. And then relaxing as you're letting go. And again, remembering that you're building that resilience, you're building a toolkit, you're building that positivity muscle, right? So now you've got another tool. If you've been coming to the broadcast or listening to them afterwards, we've done the snapshots, we've done the videos, we've done several meditations so that you can take that feeling with you at any moment and reuse it again. It doesn't have to be tied to the same thing. Or maybe in Jody's case, when you're sad about your mom being gone, you can go back to that hope and be able to remember the good things and have it in a positive way. So let's see, any other comments? Okay, so feel free to keep typing. I do try to keep these right under 30 minutes, so we have several more minutes if anybody wants to type more and tell me about how it helped you. I do want to wrap it up tonight with a quote. It's from a less famous author, and it speaks directly to me. The word hope is not in the quote, but it is implied. Oh, let me pause and read the comment. Krista says, I went from feeling weakness in my arms and a collapsing of my body into myself, going back to my worst moment. Yes. To feeling tingling happiness. I was already smiling before you said smile. Wow. That is so powerful. Both of you ladies, what you've shared, just heavy grief and heavy loss. And knowing that we have power, we have light within us, that we heard in each of those quotes. And so I want to end with a quote. The word hope isn't in it, but it is implied. And this quote was published in Guidepost in March of 2014. And it was sandwiched between quotes from two of the greats, Maya Angelou and Desmond Tutu, who I quoted at the beginning. And I get chills just thinking about this quote. So here's the quote. It reads, perhaps suffering is the yeast God uses to make us rise as individuals. So I'll read it one more time. Perhaps suffering is the yeast God uses to make us rise as individuals. And this is from a less famous author, but one I love very dearly. This is a quote from David Anderson. So just a beautiful, beautiful quote that always speaks to my heart. And so my hope is that through our time together tonight, you have found an additional tool to help you rise, to help you tap into the hope, and to help you walk away from here feeling lighter and happier. And so I really do want to thank you for joining me on the pathway to positivity. Thanks, Jody. It is a lovely quote. It is a lovely quote. Thank you all for joining me tonight on this pathway to positivity. We're actually halfway through the 12-week broadcast with the 10 steps and the opening and the wrap-up. So if you have a chance and want to go back and look at the other broadcasts, you can catch them on the website, myluminaryinsights.com, on the blog. And if you want to go deeper into the positivity concept than what we can do on these broadcasts, you can fill out the Let's Talk form that's also found on the website, and we can explore together. Thank you, Jody. You're always faster than I am at getting that in the chat box. So please do me a favor and share this broadcast with your friends. And I always joke, or even share it with your enemies. Who knows? They might gain something from it too. So let's walk the pathway to positivity together. And thank you that are here live tonight, because each of you have helped me on my pathway to positivity. So I'll wait one more second to see if there are any other comments. Thanks for including me. Oh, Krista, I'm so glad you came. I was so glad. I was like, I have to send you the invite and see if you guys wanted to join us tonight. So thank you again so much for walking with me on this pathway to positivity, and I'm sending lots of love and light. Thank you, Rhonda, for being here. My dear sister also definitely has been a huge part of my path. She's seen some of the darker times before the light was more clear. So thank you for sticking by me, Rhonda, all the time. Love you guys so much, and I'm going to close it out for tonight. Have a great evening.